ng pagtuturo at kalaman, mapaumaga, tanghali o hapon man yan, ang istasyong magbibigay impormasyon kahit saan man.
Alright, here we go.
106.3 Dance Radio. Doña Aurora National High School, Santa Rita, Aurora, Isabela.
This
106.3 DWDR-FM. Physics, Chemistry, Earth Science, Biology, Biochemistry, Environmental Science. These are some branches of science. Science is about a whole lot more than that. And to sum it up, we believe that science is the way of helping the brain grow in finding new knowledge and help us defeat our curiosity in how the world develops and works today. Science. This is your class, and this is science. And now, here is your host for the day.
Good afternoon! Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. To all our listeners and viewers, most especially to our grade 10 learners. You are listening to our School on the Air 106.3 Dance Radio, where learning is amazing. First of all, I would like to greet Dr. Rodrigo V. Pascua, the Chief Education Supervisor and our Officer in Charge, Ma'am Ruby R. Guillermo, our Assistant Principal, to all the head teachers, especially the head teacher of Science Learning Area, Ma'am Annabel A. Rodriguez, to all the teachers, parents, and learners of dance community. Welcome to another episode of Science Terrific Time. Ayan. With me are my fellow Science 10 teachers. Okay, pa-shout out naman mga ma'am and sir. Ayan. Ma'am Mirna.
Okay, thank you Ma'am Jen. Once again, good afternoon po sa lahat ng ating mga grade 10 learners. Most especially, of course, yung aking mga anak from 10 Sinagtala, 10 Obra, and 10 SPJ. I hope na nakalagin na kayo, naka-attend na po tayo by now, and please do stay until the end of the discussion.
Okay.
Ronnie.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Okay. Shout out sa mga estudyante natin sa grade 10, grade 10 Mahogany, Nara, Yakal, at ang 10 Rutherford. Ma'am Risa?
Yes, Sir Ronnie. Good afternoon din sa mga 10 Acacia and 10 Almasiga na kasalukuyang nanonood ngayon sa ating Facebook Live at nakikinig sa ating dance radio.
Ayun, yes, syempre. And shout out din sa aking mga grade 10 Jimelina and grade 10 Camagong. Happy viewing mga anak. Stay tuned and mag-take notes kayo para dun sa mga important concepts natin for this afternoon. Yes, speaking of our concept.
Okay, sali din natin Ma'am Jen. Batiin din natin yung mga
yes.
from SSC Einstein and Mendeleev at yung iba pa, no? Na mga grade 10 learners. So welcome and enjoy our live discussion today.
Ayan. So, ready na ang ating mga grade 10 learners. So, Ma'am Mirna, ano ba ang mga mapapag-aralan natin for this afternoon?
Okay, yes. After today's discussion, the learners are expected to compare the relative wavelengths of different forms of electromagnetic waves. Of course, compare the relative frequencies of the different forms of electromagnetic waves and identify the relationship among wavelength, frequency, and energy of an electromagnetic wave, Ma'am Jen.
Ayan. Wow! Interesting topic. Mga waves, electromagnetic waves pa lang mapapag-aralan natin for this afternoon. So, learners, make sure you are seated comfortably while listening to our broadcast. Ayan. Stay tuned Ayan, eto na ang ating RBI lesson for this week. Magbabalik kami.
Dance Radio, siniparalan sa radyo, atid namin makabago, paraan ang pagtuturo.
Wala nang makakapigil pa. Sulong Arangkada 106.3 Dance Radio sa Aurora, Isabela.
Edukasyo'y susulong, basta na magtulong-tulong, sulong edukalidad. Dance Radio, learning is amazing.
Physics, chemistry, earth science, biology, biochemistry, environmental science. These are some branches of science. Science is about a whole lot more than that. And to sum it up, we believe that science is a way of helping the brain grow in finding new knowledge and help us defeat our curiosity of how the world develops and works today. Science, science, science. This is your class, and this is science.
Good day, grade 10 learners. How are you?
It's a wonderful world and a beautiful day.
Welcome to the RBI session of Science 10. I am Teacher Banjulu, your radio teacher in science.
It's science time.
I will be with you for today's exciting lesson on the comparison of electromagnetic waves in terms of their wavelengths, frequencies, and energies. Before we start our lesson, make sure to have with you your Module 1 titled Different Forms of Electromagnetic Waves, notebook, paper, and pen so that you can take down important concepts as we go on with the discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
During your previous years, you were able to learn the concepts of waves. Could you still remember about this? What is again a wave?
A wave can be thought of as a disturbance or oscillation that travels through space-time accompanied by energy transfer, ma'am.
Very good. Waves have moving crest or peaks and trough. Will you differentiate a crest from a trough?
A crest is the highest point the medium rises to, and a trough is the lowest point the medium sinks to, ma'am.
Correct. What else?
Moreover, a crest is a point on the wave where the displacement of the medium is at a max.
Concepts taken in your previous years. This week, we will be focusing on comparing the relative wavelengths, frequencies, energies of different forms of waves. At the end of this session, you are expected to compare and relate the relative wavelengths, frequencies, and energies of the different electromagnetic waves. Have you ever experienced a medical process called X-ray?
Yes, ma'am. When my bone was fractured due to a bicycle accident, the doctor had recommended me to undergo X-ray.
So, how do you think X-ray imaging works? How can it take pictures of your bones?
I think X-ray imaging creates pictures of the internal part of the body since X-rays are a type of powerful radiation called electromagnetic waves, ma'am.
That's right. X-ray is just one of the different electromagnetic waves. We will be discussing this as we go on with our discussion. If you move your hands up and down while holding one end of a rope, you create a wave on the rope. How do the waves look like?
The waves created may look different depending on how fast you move your hand, ma'am.
You were correct. Similarly, if you move an electrically charged object back and forth in an empty space, you'll create electromagnetic waves in space. But What is an electromagnetic wave?
A wave can be thought of as a disturbance or oscillation that travels through space-time accompanied by a transfer of energy, ma'am.
Absolutely. What else?
Electromagnetic wave or EM wave or electromagnetic radiation is a wave created as a result of vibrations between an electric field and magnetic field, ma'am.
Correct. Electromagnetic waves composed of oscillating magnetic and electric fields. How are they formed?
Electromagnetic waves are formed when an electric field comes in contact with a magnetic field, hence it is named electromagnetic waves, ma'am.
That's right. Any more?
The electric and magnetic fields of an electromagnetic wave are perpendicular or at right angles to each other, ma'am.
You were correct. They are also perpendicular to the direction of the electromagnetic wave. How fast do electromagnetic waves travel?
Electromagnetic waves travel with a constant velocity of 300 million meters per second in a vacuum, ma'am.
Precisely. They are deflected neither by the electric field nor by the magnetic field. However, they are capable of showing interference or diffraction.
Aha!
How do you differentiate interference from diffraction?
Interference is a phenomenon in which two waves superpose to form a resultant wave of greater, lower, or the same amplitude. On the other hand, diffraction refers to various phenomena when a wave encounters an obstacle or opening, ma'am.
Exactly. It is also the bending of waves around the corners of an obstacle or through an aperture into the region of geometrical shadow of the obstacle or aperture. Does electromagnetic wave need a medium to propagate?
Does not need a medium to propagate or travel from one place to another. An electromagnetic wave can travel through anything, be it air, a solid material, or vacuum, ma'am.
You are right. How do we measure electromagnetic waves?
Being transverse waves, electromagnetic waves are measured by their amplitude or height and wavelength or distance between the highest or lowest points of two consecutive waves, ma'am.
Very good, my dear learners. I hope these descriptions of an electromagnetic wave can help you understand our topic better. There are 7 different electromagnetic waves arranged in a gradual progression from the waves of lowest frequency to highest frequency. What do you call this arrangement of electromagnetic waves?
This arrangement of electromagnetic waves is called the electromagnetic spectrum. It is the entire distribution of electromagnetic radiation according to frequency or wavelength, ma'am.
Correct! What waves make up the electromagnetic spectrum?
The electromagnetic spectrum includes radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma ray, ma'am.
Very good. Are these waves arranged in random?
No, ma'am. These waves are arranged in a certain pattern, ma'am.
That's right.
The waves are arranged in order of increasing frequency or decreasing wavelength.
Let's discuss each of the waves in the spectrum. In reality, you encounter each portion of the electromagnetic spectrum every day. Let's start with radio waves. Where do you think can you encounter these waves?
The radio captures radio waves emitted by radio stations, bringing our favorite lesson on air, ma'am.
Absolutely. Radio waves are also emitted by stars and gases in space. How about the microwaves?
As its name implies, microwave radiation cooks our favorite popcorn in just a few minutes, ma'am.
That's right. Also, it is used by astronomers to learn about the structure of nearby galaxies. Are infrared waves equally useful with the previously mentioned electromagnetic waves?
Yes, ma'am. Night vision goggles pick up the infrared light emitted by our skin and objects with heat, ma'am.
That's right. In space, infrared light helps us map the dust between stars. What electromagnetic wave enables us to see?
It is the visible light, ma'am.
Absolutely! These waves are the only waves we can see since the human eye can detect wavelengths from 380 to 700 nanometers. Can you name some materials or organisms that emit visible light?
Fireflies, light bulbs, and stars all emit visible light, ma'am.
Correct! You discussed the concept of visible light during your grade 8, so I am very sure you have a clear understanding of these electromagnetic waves. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's good to hear. What do you think causes skin burns and tans?
Ultraviolet radiation is emitted by the sun, and it is the reason for having skin tans and burns, ma'am.
Yes, that's right. Hot objects in space emit UV or ultraviolet radiation as well. Have you experienced having a fractured bone?
Yes, ma'am. I was requested to get an X-ray, ma'am.
That is just one of the many applications of X-rays. Can you give other applications of it?
A dentist uses X-rays to image your teeth, and the airport uses them to see through bags, ma'am.
Very good. In addition, hot gases in the universe also emit X-rays. How about the last electromagnetic wave in the spectrum, the gamma ray?
Doctors use gamma ray imaging to see inside our body, ma'am.
Precisely. And do you know, my dear learners, that the biggest gamma ray generator of all is the universe?
Really? We are all lucky to know about that, ma'am.
So those are the applications of the 7 members of the electromagnetic spectrum family. Indeed, they are all involved in our day-to-day living. Therefore, we must listen and understand this topic very well. We'll continue the discussion after a short break.
Trivia time! Trivia time! Did you know that radio waves can travel forever? These waves move at the speed of light. So if there are no obstructions to bounce off, it will keep moving. Thus, the reason why some scientists and astronomers predict radio waves created years or decades ago can reach a destination outside of our solar system, let alone our galaxy. This trivia is brought to you by CBRRadioSupply.com, Kaagam, and this station.
It's Science Time!
You are listening to Teacher Benjilu.
And I'm back! This time, let's strengthen your concepts regarding the different waves by comparing their relative wavelengths and frequencies. What is again the definition of wavelength?
Wavelength is the distance between crest to crest or trough to trough, ma'am.
You were indeed correct. Electromagnetic waves are bounded at different ranges. It means each type of electromagnetic wave has upper and lower limits on the spectrum. Which electromagnetic wave has the longest wavelength?
The electromagnetic wave that has the longest wavelength is the radio wave, ma'am.
Yes, that's right. The lowest frequency portion of the electromagnetic spectrum is designated as radio, generally considered to have wavelengths within 1 millimeter to 100 kilometers. There is a wide range of subcategories contained within radio waves, including amplitude modulation or AM and frequency modulation or FM radio. Will you differentiate AM from FM radio waves?
In AM radio waves, waves are used to carry commercial radio signals between 540 and 1600 kilohertz. Information is carried by amplitude variation, while the frequency remains constant, ma'am.
On the other hand, FM radio waves are used to carry commercial radio signals between 88 and 108 MHz. Information is carried by frequency modulation while the signal amplitude remains constant, ma'am.
Precisely! Amplitude modulation and frequency modulation are the methods for placing information on these waves. Again, always remember that radio waves have the longest wavelength. Which electromagnetic wave has the shortest wavelength?
Gamma rays fall in the range of the electromagnetic spectrum above soft X-rays with wavelengths of less than 100 picometers, ma'am.
For additional knowledge, according to the Australian Radiation Protection and Nuclear Safety Agency, or ARPANSA, gamma rays were first observed by French chemist Paul Villard when he was investigating radiation from radium. A few years later, New Zealand-born chemist and physicist Ernest Rutherford proposed the name gamma rays, following the order of alpha rays and beta rays, which are the names given to other particles that are created during a nuclear reaction, ma'am.
Wow! Thank you for that information. Again, gamma rays have the shortest wavelengths. Always take note of that because we will be identifying the relationship of the wave's wavelength to its frequency and energy right after a short break.
Trivia time! Trivia time! Did you know that microwave cooking retains nutrients? Yes, according to the study by Harvard Medical School, because microwave cooking times are shorter, cooking with a microwave does a better job of preserving vitamin C and other nutrients that break down when heated. Steaming in the microwave is actually preferable to submersing foods in water, which result in a loss of nutrients. The cooking method that best retains nutrients is one that cooks quickly, heats food for the shortest amount of time, and uses as little liquid as possible. Microwaving meets those criteria. This trivia is brought to you by acpsolution.gov, Kaagham, and this station.
It's Science Time!
You are listening to Teacher Benjulu.
We're back! This time, let us answer and discuss Enrichment Activity 1 on page 4. Using the figure and information from the table, observe what happens to the wavelength of the electromagnetic waves as they progress or goes rightward from the figure. Does the wavelength of the electromagnetic waves increase or decrease as we go from radio wave to gamma ray?
Ma'am, the wavelength decreases from radio waves to gamma rays.
That's right. Or we can also say that wavelength increases from gamma rays to radio waves. Knowing this, which among the electromagnetic waves has the highest frequency? Remember, wave frequency is defined as the number of waves that pass a fixed point in a given amount of time.
Gamma rays have the highest frequencies since they have the shortest wavelengths, ma'am.
Yes, you were correct. Then, which among the EM waves has the lowest frequency?
The radio waves have the lowest frequencies, ma'am.
Yes, why do radio waves have the lowest frequency?
Radio waves have the lowest frequency because they have the longest wavelength, ma'am.
What is then the relationship of the wavelength and frequency of a wave?
The longer the wavelength, the lower the frequency, or vice versa. The shorter the wavelength, the higher the frequency, ma'am.
That's right. In short, a wave's wavelength and frequency are inversely proportional to each other. Is that clear, my dear learners?
Yes, ma'am.
Please stay tuned because we will discover the relationship of waves frequency and energy when we return.
Trivia time! Trivia time! Is visible light dangerous? Visible light is typically pretty harmless. However, some light can be so intense that it can damage the receptor cells in your eye, causing temporary or permanent blindness. High-powered laser can also be damaging and will cause burns. This trivia is brought to you by sites.google.com, Kagam, and this station.
It's science time!
You are listening to Teacher Benjulu.
Let's continue. Since an electromagnetic wave has no mass, does it carry energy?
Yes, ma'am. The energy carried by an electromagnetic wave is actually proportional to the frequency of the wave.
Absolutely. An electromagnetic wave's energy is proportional to its frequency. What does this mean?
It means that waves with higher frequency have higher energy too, ma'am.
Correct. Then which among the electromagnetic waves has the highest energy? How about the lowest energy?
The gamma rays carry the highest energy while the radio waves have the lowest energy, ma'am.
Very good. Going back to the figure on page 12, does the frequency of the electromagnetic waves increase or decrease as we go from radio wave to gamma ray?
The frequency increases as the wavelength decreases, ma'am.
Precisely. Does the energy of the waves increase or decrease as we go from radio wave to gamma ray?
The energy of the waves increases as we go from radio to gamma ray, since the frequency increases too, ma'am.
Very good, my dear learners. From all of these observations and discussions, what can you infer on the relationship among wavelength, frequency, and energy of an electromagnetic wave?
As wavelength increases, its frequency and energy decrease. Therefore, as the wavelength increases from radio waves to gamma rays, the frequency as well as energy decreases, ma'am.
Absolutely. I repeat, as the wavelength increases from radio waves to gamma rays, the frequency as well as energy decreases. Please remember that at all times, my dear learners.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we're done with the lesson. Before we finally say goodbye, let's have a brief summary of what we have just learned. Will you describe an electromagnetic wave?
Electromagnetic radiation is a wave that is created as a result of vibrations between an electric field and magnetic field, ma'am.
Very good. Will you enumerate the different electromagnetic waves?
Ma'am, the different electromagnetic waves arranged in order of decreasing wavelength are radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma ray.
Great! Describe the relationship of the wavelength of electromagnetic waves to their frequency and energy.
Ma'am, as the wavelength decreases, the frequency and energy increase.
Very good, dear learners. Are the electromagnetic waves important?
Yes, ma'am. The different electromagnetic waves are very useful in many ways, be it in the field of medicine, industries, or other fields.
Actually, ma'am, the visible light, one of the electromagnetic waves, enables us to see the world's beauty.
Very good. I guess you have a lot of learning today because I'm sure you have understood our lesson very well. I would like to acknowledge the teachers behind this School on the Air lesson. Ma'am Mirna V. Enriquez, our scriptwriter. Ma'am Rosabel R. Brillo, our language editor. Sir Prince Donarich C. Bugawisan and Ma'am Annabel A. Rodriguez, our content editors. Ma'am Riza N. Marsan, our technical specialists. And Teacher Benjulu R. Paraiso, your radio teacher in science. Thank you very much and have a good day. Stay safe always.
Dance Radio, siniparalan sa radyo, atid namin makabago, paraan ang pagtuturo.
Wala nang makakapigil pa. Sulong Arangkada 106.3 Dance Radio sa Aurora, Isabela.
Edukasyo'y susulong, basta't magtulong-tulong, sulong edukalidad. Dance Radio, learning is amazing.
Physics, chemistry, earth science, biology, biochemistry, environmental science. These are some branches of science. Science is about a whole lot more than that. And to sum it up, we believe that science is a way of helping the brain grow in finding new knowledge and help us defeat our curiosity of how the world develops and works today. Science, science, science. This is your class, and this is science.
Alright, and we're back. Ayan. So, that's it, our RBI lesson for this week. Ayan. So, andyan pa ba kayo, mga grade 10 learners? Tignan nga natin sa comment box. Hello. Ayan. Shout out sa mga watching dyan and listening. Ayan. So, from 10 Obra, Mark Lawrence, Althea May from 10 Acacia, Rudlin from Einstein, o Benalyn. Ayan. Watching sila. So, hello, hello. Okay. So, before... Ay, saan ba? Okay. So, yan. Ready na ba kayo sa ating live discussion? Ayan. So, let's have a short review of our lesson with Ma'am Mirna.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Jen. Okay, so actually, this is the first lesson for the first week, no, of quarter 2. So, we will be having a recall on their lesson during their previous years in relation to our topic
Kasi napag-aralan
today.
nila ito, ma'am, nung kanilang grade 7, 8,
9.
and meron din.
Okay, since spiral progression
Yes.
kasi tayo, no, Ma'am Jen? Ayan, so before we start, may we acknowledge our special guest. Okay, I invited some of my students to be with us today. Okay, mga anak, pwede bang mag-open kayo ng cam? Ayan, para makita rin kayo. Ayan. Okay, so we have with us Cyril Feliciano from 10 SPJ. And of course, andyan din si yan. Hello, anak.
Hello, Cyril.
Yan. Wow, nakakamiss makita yung mga estudyanteng naka-uniform, no? Ayan, we have also with us Kat Bayodok from 10 Sinagtala. Ayan. Ayan, si Kat. And of course, si Princess Lara. Nakapasok ba si Princess Lara, Sir Joshel? And si Camille. We have also with us Camille. Ayan, si Camille from 10 Obra. Okay, so sila yung ating magiging mga kasama today, Ma'am Chen, no?
Yes.
To participate, no, in our discussion. Okay, so let's start our review. Yan, my dear learners, please be ready. Pwede kayong sumagot. Paki-comment lang mamaya sa ating comment box yung inyong mga kasagutan. Okay, we have here a jumbled letters, no? Okay, so bibigay natin yung description ng term. And you have to identify the term, okay, using the jumbled letters provided. Okay, yes, Ma'am Jen, let's start. Number 1. Ayan, and of course, yung unang makakasagot, Okay, bibigyan natin yan ng 1 pad of writing paper. Bibigay natin yan sa mga advisors. At yan ay marireceive din nyo kapag nag-distribute na kami sa inyong mga
may sumagot
barangay.
na.
Meron na. Wow, ang bilis. Saan, Ma'am Jen? Hindi ko makita.
Ayan.
Okay, so
basahin mo na
basahin
yung
mo na
tanong.
yung tanong, yung term, no? It is a disturbance in space. Ano kaya ito? It's a 4-letter word.
From 10 obra, ang sagot niya ay wave, ma'am.
Okay.
Tama ba?
Yes, tama. Ang ating
siya
kasagutan ay wave.
Siya si Jesslyn Langido Lazaro.
Okay. Okay, yan.
Ikaw ay
Congrats.
nanalo ng isang pad paper.
Congratulations, Jesslyn. Okay, so ang ating sagot dyan ay wave. Actually, in physics, a wave can be thought of as a disturbance or oscillation that travels through space-time, accompanied of course by a transfer of energy. Ayan, mamaya, madidiscuss yan. Idideepen niya ng discussion ni Ma'am Riza. Okay, next question, Ma'am Jen. Ayan. Sir Ronnie, pwede bang pakibasa ang ating term?
Ito yung pangalawa. It is the highest point in a wave.
Okay, it's a 5-letter
may sumagot
word.
na ulit.
Ang bibilis. Hindi pa nakakapag-raise ng kamay yung ating mga bisita.
Ang bilis
Okay,
nila.
ang bilis nila. Ayan.
From 10 obra ulit.
Wow,
Okay.
active ang mga 10 obra. Sino siya, Ma'am Jen? At anong kanyang sagot?
Ang sa kanyang sagot ay Cres. Siya si Mark Lawrence.
Okay,
Dua-
Barayuga.
Ano?
Hindi.
Saan ba? Hindi ko mabasa eh.
Oo nga, nawala. Iba yung nakita ko.
Duave ang nakalagay dito pero meron pa siya ang
Okay. Nagalaw natin. Okay, so once again, congratulations kay Mark Lawrence from 10 Obra. The answer is crest. Okay, so a crest is a point on the wave where the displacement of the medium is at a maximum point. Kaya nga sabi dyan, highest point in a wave. Okay, next. Ma'am Riza, pakibasa naman po ang ating term.
And
Definition.
the third one is, it is the lowest point in a wave. Yan.
Okay, kanina highest point, ngayon naman ay lowest point. Okay.
Meron na sumagot.
Meron na
pero
naman.
tignan mo kung tama
Ang
yung
bilis.
spelling niya.
Patingin ko po. Yes, dapat tama ang ating spelling. Tama ba yan, ma'am?
Parang hindi.
Oo nga, parang may pinagdadaanan yan. Joke. Okay. Anak, be careful with the spelling, ha?
Meron na po tamang sagot.
Meron na rin dito tama.
Meron na daw. Nakita ni Ma'am Riza.
Si Ira Asuncion, ma'am. Tama ba yung nasa
Ira,
screen ko?
parang meron din sa akin, ma'am. Check ko.
Okay. Sino ba ang nauna? Ba't parang iba-iba?
Si Mark Lester sa akin.
Okay, tama yung sagot ni Ira, pero nauna kasi si Mark Lester Ramos Barayuga from 10 Tanggile. Okay, so the correct answer is trap. Okay, so trap.
Isang H lang.
Oo, kasi kanina yung nakasagot kanina ay true. Ayan. Okay, so be careful with the spelling. Okay, so when we say trough, it is a point on the wave.
Uy, meron na sumasagot sa next number.
If
Wala
the
pa pong number
displacement
for
of
mga
the
anak,
medium
ha?
at the point is at a minimum. Okay, kabaligtaran siya kanina nung ating crest. Okay, patingin na ako nung image niya, ma'am. Meron tayo. Ayan.
Okay, so
ayan. Yung crest, okay, the highest point, and of course the troughs are the yung mga lowest points on a wave. Okay, next question, Ma'am Jen. Sige, Ma'am Jen, pakibasa na yung definition.
Question number 4. 4 na ito, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Kasi may mga sumagot na dun sa comment box natin.
Okay. Mga anak, yung ating mga invited guests, pwede kayong mag-answer, ha?
Opo.
Okay, pero baka ang bibilis ng mga classmates ninyo, eh.
Yes, so it refers to the number of waves produced in 1 second.
Okay.
Ano kaya yan?
Ayan, ilang letters yan? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, 9-letter word. Okay, ano kaya yan? Sige, tingnan natin.
Tignan mo dito, ang daming sumagot.
Ang bilis eh, hindi ko nasusundan. Okay.
Ay.
Number
Ito
4.
ito.
Okay, from 10 obra. Wow, ang active ng mga 10 obra ngayon, ha. Okay, congratulations kay Alyssa Camille Alejandro. Okay, siya yung naunang nakapagbigay ng tamang sagot. And the answer is frequency. Okay, so in physics, frequency is the number of waves that pass a fixed point in a unit time. Also, the number of cycles or vibrations undergone during 1 unit time. Okay, and then, may we have the last, ma'am? Ayan. Okay, so it is the distance between two successive identical parts of a wave. Okay, sige, key in your answers now, mga anak.
Yan, meron na.
Sino, Ma'am Jen?
From 10 Mendeleev. Tama ba? Ano sagot, Ma'am Mirna?
Okay, so the answer is wavelength. Okay, ang nakakuha ay si Jonah Jamaica Tangonan from 10 Mendeleev. Ayan, congratulations, anak. So the answer is wavelength. And wavelength is defined as a distance from one crest to another or from one trough to another of a wave. Okay, be it an electromagnetic wave, ayan, sound wave, or any other wave. Okay. So, ang gagaling ng mga anak natin, Ma'am Jen.
Oo.
Actually, yung mga terms na yan ay na-discuss pa yan or na-encounter nila during their previous years, and based from dun sa ating active participation, no, ang bibilis nila, it means to say na na-retain pa rin sa kanilang memory yung kanilang previous topic.
Yes. So, it seems that the concepts of wave is already, yes, sabi mo nga, Ma'am, clear to our dear learners.
And I'm so happy. We are so happy na mga science teachers pag ganyan, ano, Ma'am? Okay, so my dear learners, congratulations and thank you for your active participation. Ayan. Okay. Ma'am Jen, ayan. Okay, ito pa. Ulit. Ayan, on the screen, meron kayong nakikitang picture. Okay, kilala nyo ba yan? Are you familiar with that character?
Oo, yes. Siyempre, familiar sila dyan. Kinalakihan nila yan.
Okay, baka lagi nila napapanood dyan.
Oo.
Okay, sino yan, Ma'am Jen?
Oo, siya si The Hawk, Ma'am Mirna. So, siya ang lead character sa movie The Incredible Hulk. Ayan. And there have been many movies and sequels for the said movie.
Okay, correct, Ma'am Jen. Mukhang napanood mo na rin yata yan, Ma'am Jen. Ha?
Pero yan parang 2003, 2008,
Okay,
2011.
marami siyang version actually. Oo, may latest pa nga eh. Ayan. Okay, so The Hulk is a fictional superhero appearing in publications by the American publisher Marvel Comics. Okay, hindi ko alam kung hindi pa napapanood ng mga anak natin, pero I'm sure napanood na nila yan. Okay? In the movie, Ma'am Jen, is Hulk a human being? Tao
Yes,
ba siya?
Oo naman.
Sa movie,
Yes, oo, kasi tao siya. He is actually a scientist. Isa siyang siyentipiko.
Yes, ma'am, tao siya, pero bakit dyan sa picture, ganyan ang itsura niya? Ano ba ang nangyari sa kanya, Ma'am Jen?
Baka alam ng mga learners natin, Ma'am Mirna.
Ayan, ibabato natin yan sa ating mga learners. Okay, sige, key in your answers, mga anak. Bakit laging ganyan ang itsura ni The Hulk? Where in fact, isa siyang tao. Okay, doon sa movie, ha? Ayan. Sige, tingnan nga natin.
Oo, bakit? Bakit naging kulay green?
Kulay green na parang ang laki niya.
At naging ganyan na... Oo, napupunit yung damit niya bigla-bigla pag lumalaki siya.
Ayan, ma'am, may sumagot na dito.
Ay, meron na, Ma'am Riza.
Sabi ni Patrick, siguro pinag-eksperimentuhan niya sarili niya, ma'am.
Okay, may idea si Patrick.
Malapit.
Okay, malapit na. Okay, dig pa natin ng konti. Ano kayong nangyaring experiment na yan? Bakit siya naging ganyan?
Meron din dito, ma'am.
Meron na din sumagot.
Oo.
Si Maria Cristina Enriquez.
Ay, parang kilala ko yan.
Oo, sabi niya, natamaan ng gamma ray.
Wow, natamaan daw ng gamma ray. Pwede bang tanggapin yon, Ma'am Jen?
Ano sa tingin mo, ma'am?
Tama siya. Malapit na. Siguro mga nasa 95%. Okay, yung mas mas specific pa.
Ito, ma'am, si Sai de la Cruz.
Yes.
Sabi niya, physical effect of gamma radiation turning the hawk skin, Doc Samson's hair, and she hawk's nails green with stored gamma energy.
Wow, ang galing naman ni Sai at ni Maria Cristina kasi nasabi na nila yung dahilan kung bakit naging ganyan si The Hawk. Okay, so congratulations sa inyong dalawa dahil nakuha nyo ang tamang kasagutan. Actually, si Dr. Bruce Banner lives a life quote between the soft-spoken scientist. Actually, scientist siya kaya yung sinabi kanina nung bata ni Patrick na pinag-experimentohan daw niya yung kanyang sarili, no? And he's always been the uncontrollable green monster powered by his rage. Exposed to heavy doses of gamma radiation. Yung sinasabi nila sa
So, natamaan nga siya. Or
na-expose
siya.
or na-expose. Okay. So, kasi ito, dapat extreme exposure, no? To gamma radiation. So, that's why scientist Bruce Banner transforms into the mean green rage machine called the Hawk. Okay, so ayan siya. Ayan, so nabanggit doon yung gamma radiation, okay, caused by gamma ray. And this afternoon, my dear learners, we will be focusing on those electromagnetic waves. And an example dyan ay yung gamma ray. Okay, so I
Saka yung
hope...
X-ray na nabanggit kanina sa RBI.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this afternoon, my dear learners, as mentioned earlier, we will be discussing about electromagnetic waves. Also, we will be discussing the different forms of EM waves, no? Ayan, and of course, we will be describing the relationship of the wavelength, frequency, and energy of these EM waves. O yan, mamaya makikita nila after this discussion yung mga effects ng mga electromagnetic waves na yan. But, okay, ano nga ba, Ma'am Riza, ang electromagnetic wave?
Yes, Ma'am Mirna. So, electromagnetic wave or EM waves are waves that create as a result of vibrations between the electric field and a magnet field. So, electromagnetic wave are both considered as electric and magnetic in nature. So, in the other word, electromagnetic wave contain electric field and magnetic field. So, this electric and magnetic field are the region which the push or pull of the charges particle are inserted. So the charges particle in the magnets can push or pull object without touching them, ma'am. But electromagnetic wave also produced by a charge that charges or that changes each direction or the speed. So the electrons are changed or the charged particle can produce electric and magnetic field. But in order to create a vibration in the electric and magnetic field, electron must move. So a charged particle such as electron move back and forth or vibrate. So a changing magnetic field produces electric field. In the same manner, electric field also produces magnetic field. So in electromagnetic wave, it is made of magnetic field and electric field. Parang yung nakikita natin diyan sa PowerPoint natin. So they are positioned at right angle to each other and to the direction of the motion of the wave. Since these fields are located at the right angle, electromagnetic wave also considered as transverse wave. So this means both electric and magnetic field are oscillating in perpendicular. Tulad nung nakita natin kanina, ma'am. So, they are oscillating to each other. Ayan. So, and they are moved in the direction of the propagation of the wave. But electromagnetic wave also, ayan ma'am. Yung electric field and the magnetic field. So, electromagnetic field also, like the other wave, such as the water wave and the wave in the rope, they carry energy from one place to another. Pero ang pinagkaiba niya sa other wave, unlike the other wave, electromagnetic wave do not carry energy causing the matter to vibrate. It is the electric and magnetic field that vibrates. So this is why electromagnetic can travel in the vacuum where there is no matter, ma'am. So yun yung tinatawag nating transverse wave. So, but electromagnetic wave also travel, for example, light, di ba pwede siyang mag-travel in the atmosphere, which is merong medium. But it can also travel in the outer space without medium. And electromagnetic wave also travels at next PowerPoint. Ayan. Electromagnetic waves travel very fast. It is 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per seconds, or 3 million meter per seconds, or which is ang tinatawag nating the speed of light. So light from the sun travels, for example, yung light from the sun travels 150 million kilometer to Earth in about 8 minutes lang, ma'am. So akalain mo yun, ang bilis ng kanyang pag-travel. And ayan, at this speed, they can go around the world 8 times in 1 second. So, ganun po kabilis yung pag-travel ng electromagnetic wave natin. And, ayan, it is a wave or particle. So, magnetic radiation has the property of wave but can also thought of as a stream. So, there are also to sum up with that, electromagnetic wave has the 3 properties. They produce by accelerated or oscillating charges. They do not require matter or medium to propagate. And they travel in free space at the speed of 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second, ma'am. Yan. So, next, we have the electromagnetic spectrum, which is...
Yes, thank you, Ma'am Riza. So, to discuss about the electromagnetic spectrum, we now have Ma'am Mirna.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Riza. Thank you, Ma'am Jen. Ayan, so my dear, ayan, ma'am. Okay, may I ask my invited guest to join me? Kasi magtatanong ako mamaya and I want them to answer. Okay. Andyan sila, Sir Joshel? Andyan pa rin sila? Okay, sige. Ayan. So, on the screen, nakikita ninyo ang tinatawag nating electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, so yan, nakikita natin yan sa mga books, okay, sa mga iba't ibang references. Okay, it is the electromagnetic spectrum, which is named for the range of electromagnetic waves when placed in order of increasing frequency. Okay, actually it is the range of frequencies of electromagnetic radiation and their respective wavelengths and photon energy. So, mamaya makikita natin yan. Okay, and the different electromagnetic waves in the spectrum include, okay, so meron tayong 7, no? 7 na electromagnetic waves. We have, ayan, radio wave, microwave, infrared rays, visible light, ultraviolet rays, X-ray, and gamma ray. Okay, so my dear learners, bibigyan ko kayo ng isang tip, no, para ito ay inyong madaling matandaan. You can use the mnemonics Army Books G. Okay, so Army Books G. Okay, syempre R stands for radio wave, Okay, M, microwave. Ayan. I, infrared. So, lagi lang natanda yung Army Vox G. Okay, mula pa nung estudyante ako hanggang ngayon, ginagamit ko yung mnemonics na yan. And napakadali niyang matandaan. Okay? So, now, dito sa ating spectrum, how are these electromagnetic waves arranged? Okay, tingnan natin. Ma'am Jen? Okay, so ayan. Okay, ayan. So, yan yung ating spectrum. So, mapapansin ninyo, okay, yung Army Vox G nga natin. Ano ang masasabi natin sa kanyang wavelength? Nabanggit na kanina yung wavelength, no? Okay, so may I ask yung aking mga bata, observe nga natin yung picture dyan sa ating screen. What can you say, okay, about the arrangement of the electromagnetic waves in the spectrum according to their wavelength? Okay, andyan ba sila, Sir Joshel? Okay, may I ask, Cyril, anak, paki-describe mo nga yung ating wavelengths from the radio wave to gamma ray. Ano ang masasabi mo dyan, anak ko? Cyril? What do you observe, anak? What happens to the wavelength of the electromagnetic waves from the radio wave to gamma rays? Walang audio? Sumasagot na po si Cyril? Wait lang anak ha.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10.
Oo. Doon mo. Yan. Okay, Cyril? Pakiulit, anak.
Hello po.
Ayan. Good.
Hello po.
Sige, anak.
I noticed that the radio waves, the wavelength is the radio waves. It's long and it gets shorter to the gamma rays po.
Okay, very good, Cyril. Okay. Well, actually, the wavelength decreases as it moves from radio waves to gamma rays. Correct yung naging observation ni Cyril. Therefore, if I'm going to ask you, andyan si Princess, no? Si Princess Lara. Based from the answer of Cyril, okay, which of the electromagnetic waves then has the longest wavelength? Diyan ba si Princess? Or sige, may recall on Kat kung wala si Princess. Kat?
Hello po.
Si Kat, ayan, anak. Which of these electromagnetic waves has the longest wavelength?
Ma'am, yung radio wave po.
Okay, very good. How about the shortest wavelength?
Gamma ray po.
Okay, gamma ray. So, yun tatandaan natin yung relationship na yun, o yung observation na yun. That, okay, the wavelengths of electromagnetic waves gets shorter as it moves from radio waves to gamma rays. Kasi may ibig sabihin yan. Okay, makikita natin yan mamaya. Okay, now let's move. O yun, tandaan yung wavelength natin. Okay, how about the frequency of the electromagnetic waves? Next picture, ma'am. Okay, so meron din tayo dyan frequency. Okay. Sino ang pwedeng sumagot? May we call on Camille. Okay, paki-observe nga anak yung ating spectrum dyan. What can you say about the frequency of the electromagnetic waves? Camille? Sir, audio ni Camille?
Ay, nakamute.
Nakamute ka daw anak. Paki-open mo yung mic mo anak. Camille? Nakamute.
Yes, ma'am.
Ayan, okay. Ayan na anak. Sige, go.
The frequency of EM wave
is measured in exactly the same way as the frequency of, say, a sound wave or onset of ocean wave po.
Okay? Sige, medyo simplihan natin yun, no? Okay, so based from the picture, anong masasabi mo, anak? Ano yung nangyayari dun sa ating frequency? Okay, dun sa ating frequency. Ano na naman ulit ang frequency? Ano na naman ang ibig sabihin ng frequency? Okay, it is the number of waves that pass a fixed point in a unit time. Okay, so ano ang napapansin mo dyan, anak? Habang umiigsi or as the wavelength gets shorter from radio wave to gamma rays, what happens to the frequency of the electromagnetic wave? Does it increase or decrease?
Increase po.
Okay, very good. So, the frequency increases from radio waves to gamma rays. Okay, very good. Now, the question is, okay, what is then the relationship of the wavelength and the frequency of the electromagnetic waves? Ano kaya ang relationship ngayon based from what we have observed? Okay, may I ask si Kat? Nandiyan na ba si Kat? Hindi ko kasi nakikita. Meron? Okay, Kat, anak. Ano ngayon ang masasabi mong sa relationship between the wavelength and the frequency of the electromagnetic waves in the spectrum? Based from dun sa naging sagot natin kanina, dun sa mga katanungan ko kina Cyril and Camille. Kat? Nakamute ka daw, anak. Okay, so based from, ayan, si Kat, nandiyan na ba siya?
Ma'am?
Okay, Kat. What is then the relationship between the wavelength and the frequency of the electromagnetic waves?
Ma'am, yung sa gamma ray po, yung frequency po, nag-i-increase po sa may radio waves po.
Okay, or in short, as the wavelength of a wave decreases, its frequency increases. So there is an inverse relationship between the wavelength and the frequency of electromagnetic waves. So tandaan natin yun, ha? Okay, let's move on dun sa ating energy naman. Okay, so ano naman ang masasabi natin sa energy? Okay, so andyan pa rin tayo. Tingnan niyo yung picture dyan para makita natin yung ating relationship. Okay, so nandyan yung mga arrow dyan sa baba. Okay, so sabi natin kanina, we said a while back that the frequency increases from radio wave to gamma rays. Therefore, the energy, okay, also increases. Okay, so in short, as the wavelength of a wave decreases, okay, its frequency and energy increases. Okay, so yun lagi ang tatandaan natin, ha? Okay, number 1, dapat alam nyo yung arrangement ng mga electromagnetic waves sa ating electromagnetic spectrum. And of course, you have to know the relationship between the wavelength and the frequency and the energy. Okay? So, ayan, thank you mga anak sa inyong participation. Very good. Okay, so this time naman, we'll discuss, no, the different electromagnetic waves one by one. Okay, may we ask Sir Ronnie to discuss about the radio waves.
Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Mirna. So, we will discuss the different forms of electromagnetic waves. So, balikan lang natin sinabi ni Ma'am Mirna kanina kasi mahalaga yon in discussing the different forms of electromagnetic waves, the relationship doon sa frequency, wavelength, and the energy. The longer the wavelength, the longer the wavelength, the lower the frequency. Kasi nga inversely related sila. Pero in terms between frequency and energy, The higher the frequency, the higher the energy. Kasi nga, directly related naman yung dalawang terms na yon. So, dito tayo sa the different forms of electromagnetic waves. Kung babalik tayo doon sa diagram kanina, sa left, kung nakaharap kayo sa monitor, doon sa left, ang pinakamalayo doon sa visible spectrum, yung unang-una ay ang tinatawag nating radio waves. So, the radio waves. Okay. Radio waves has the longest wavelength and the lowest frequency. Kasi sinabi ko sa inyo, sinabi namin niya kanina, the longer the wavelength, the lower the frequency. Since ang radio wave ang may pinakamahabang wavelength, therefore, siya naman ay may mababa ang frequency. Actually, kung titignan ng exact value niya, ang frequency ng radio wave ay nasa pagitan ng 300 gigahertz to as low as 3 kilohertz. While the wavelength niya naman from 1 millimeter to 100 kilometers. So, ganun kahaba yun radio waves yung wavelength ng radio waves. Next slide, ma'am. Okay. So, after application na ito, pero sa next module, I think the next module, i-discuss itong application ng different forms of electromagnetic waves. Ito lang sa global positioning system. Global positioning system measures the time it takes a radio wave to travel from several satellites to the receiver, determining the distance of each satellite. Actually, pag yung GPS, gumagamit kasi yan ng radio waves, ginagamit yan sa location, navigation, tracking, and even sa mapping. Next, ma'am. Okay, radio waves radio picks up radio waves through an antenna and convert it to the sound waves. Each radio station in the area broadcasts at different frequency. Kung mapapansin ninyo, kapag magle-late na ng gabi or magsa-sign off na sila, binabanggit nila kung ilang kilohertz pinapatakbo yung frequency nila. O, di ba, it's now signing up. Binabanggit kung ilang frequency yung tumatakbo doon sa kanilang radio station or even sa TV station, laging binabanggit yan. Yes, another application niya dyan is the MRI or the magnetic resonance imaging. Actually, itong MRI, mostly, napaka-helpful nito pagdating sa sports. Lalo na kapag mayroong mga injury yung mga players, yung mga manlalaro, ang lagi nilang ginagawa is MRI. Kasi nga, mas extensive or mas kitang-kita nila kung saan yung tinamaan na ligaments, na tendons, na muscles, na cartilage, makikita nila exact location or exact na damage ng isang player. Kaya pag makakarinig kayo ng balitang meron na injury, ang laging sinasabi ng mga doctor nila, hinihintay natin yung MRI result. Gumagamit po yun ng sound wave. Next. Okay. Sumunod sa radio waves ay ang microwaves. So, mga microwaves sa bahay. Have a shorter wavelength from 0.001 meter to 700 nanometer. Therefore, a higher frequency. Kung i-compare natin sa wavelength ng radio wave, mas maiksi ang wavelength ng microwave. Pero mas mataas naman ang kanyang frequency. So, next, ma'am. Okay, yan pong ginagamit niya. Microwaves used in ovens. Microwave ovens. Waves transfer energy to the water in the food, causing them to vibrate, which transfer energy in the form of heat to the food. Next, ma'am. Okay. Radar or the radar, radio detection and ranging. Saan ginagamit ito? Used to find the speed of an object by sending out radio waves and measuring the time it takes them to return. Actually, ginagamit yan sa weather forecast, military target and tracking. Kung nabasa nyo mabuti module 1 ninyo, quarter 1, kung bakit nila na-discover yung sa ilalim ng dagat? Yung fault, ay parang bitak doon sa ilalim ng yung mga image doon sa ilalim ng dagat, gumamit sila ng radar siya. Yung discovery of radar, nag-lead yun sa discovery ng image kung ano ang meron doon sa ilalim ng dagat. Okay. Yung mga ibang application ng microwaves, sa next module na yun, yung mga Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, doon na lang yung discussion. And susunod naman yung pinakamalapit na is the infrared rays. Infrared, below red, shorter wavelength, and higher frequency than microwave. So, in comparison na naman natin yan, mas maikli ang wavelength niya compare sa microwave, pero pagdating sa frequency, mas mataas ang frequency ng infrared. So, isa sa mga application ng infrared ay ang thermography. So, bawat object kasi nagbibigay ng iba't ibang heat. So, to determine the temperature, thermogram or thermography ang ginagamit nila. Kung nanonood kayo ng mga movie na may war, yung night vision, infrared ang ginagamit ng mga yon. And the last one, yung pinakagitna, is the visible light. Ito yung nakikita po natin. Shorter wavelength and higher frequency than infrared. Electromagnetic waves that we can see. Napakahalaga ng visible light. Una, dahil nakakakita tayo because of the visible light. At pangalawa, napakahalaga ng visible light for the plants para sa photosynthetic activities nila. So, yun lang, ma'am. So, longest wave, okay. Dito tayo sa visible light, meron tayong sa rainbow, yung Roy-G beam. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. Dun sa visible light natin, ang may pinakamahabang wavelength ay ang red. Kaya pag mag-drawing kayo ng rainbow, lagi nasa taas ang red. Hindi pwede magkulay kayo ng red sa baba. So, baliktad. So, nasa taas lagi ang red. So, pinakamahaba ang wavelength niya, pero in terms of frequency, siya ang may pinakamababa ang frequency. Ang may pinakamataas naman na frequency ay ang violet. Tama? The violet or the purple, siya naman yung pinakamaiksi ang wavelength. Pero siya may pinakamalakas ng energy at ang frequency. Next, ma'am. Okay, yan yung po yung Roy-G beam natin. When light enters in a medium, it bends or refracts. Each wavelength bends in a different amount, allowing the light to separate into the various colors named the Roy-G beam. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Sa mga kulay na yan, red ang may pinakamataas ang wavelength, pinakamababa ang frequency. Violet ang may pinakamaiksi ang wavelength, pero may pinakamataas na frequency and energy. Thank you, ma'am.
And actually, Sir Ronnie, they have discussed that, taken that during their grade 8.
Grade 8. Yes, ma'am. Grade 8. Grade 8. Nung grade 8 na discuss na nila yan.
Yes, sir. Okay, may we have also Ma'am Jen to discuss with for us the other forms of electromagnetic waves.
Yes, so if you're looking at the electromagnetic spectrum, found at the right side of the spectrum are the ultraviolet rays, X-rays, and the gamma rays. So, nasabi na kanina yung sa kanilang frequency, wavelength, and energy, but itatakan lang natin ngayon ulit. Okay, so first is ultraviolet. Ultraviolet has the wavelength of 10 to 40 nanometer. Ganon siya, ganon yung wavelength niya. And the frequency is 30 petahertz to 750 terahertz. Okay, so saan ba galing yung word na ultraviolet? So, it means beyond violet. So, kanina na-discuss ni Sir Ronnie yung visible spectrum, which is the rightmost part is the violet. So after nung violet kasi is what we found we can see the ultraviolet rays. So beyond or after or greater than the violet is the ultraviolet. So yun po yun. Okay, ultraviolet has a higher frequency than violet light. Okay. So dati the UV radiation was discovered in 1801 by the German physicist Johann Wilhelm Ritter. Okay, ang tawag pa lang nila dyan noon is deoxidizing rays or chemical rays. But then the chemical rays were eventually dropped in favor of ultraviolet, yung term na ultraviolet. Okay. In 1878, the sterilizing effect of short wavelength light by killing bacteria was discovered. Kaya yan yung ginagamit na natin ang ultra or UV radiation to kill bacteria. So, in sterilization of equipment, lalong-lalo na sa mga medical equipment. Okay, then, and the effect of ultraviolet radiation on DNA was established in 1960. So, meron din siyang effect sa DNA ng tao. Okay, so too much UV radiation or exposure to too much UV can cause skin cancer. Pero bago yung skin cancer, mas muna yung tinatawag nating suntan, yung papatan ng skin, sunburn, ayan. Tapos nasa worst side na yung skin cancer, nai-increase kasi nga yung effect niya sa DNA. Okay. Then, alam nyo ba na ang ating sunlight ay nagko-constitute ng 10% of the total electromagnetic radiation, yung UV. 10% dyan dun sa sunlight. Okay? Pero hindi lang po sa sunlight nanggagaling ang UV, pwede rin siya sa mga electric arcs and specialized lights. Okay. So, yun. So, ultraviolet light or specifically yung UVB, pag naano nyo sa mga patalastas or sa mga lotion, ganyan, UVB. Ito po yung responsible for the formation of vitamin D. Okay, sa ating katawan or sa most vertebrates including humans. Ayan, so kailangan natin ma-expose sa sunlight kasi may UV doon para ma-produce ang vitamin D. Actually, ang sunlight is accelerator ng vitamin D para ma-produce sa ating katawan. And vitamin D is good for skin, for your teeth and bones. Yan, kayo mga baby, inaano dyan. Ano, ma'am? And then, pinapaarawan. Pero yung umaga lang na sunlight kasi hindi masakit pang siya. Okay, then we have X-ray. So, X-ray is from 10 picometers to 10 nanometers yung wavelength niya. Ang kanyang frequency is 1016 to 1020 Hz. Okay, so shorter wavelength and higher frequency than UV rays compared dun sa UV kanina. Carry a great amount of energy. Can penetrate most matter. So, can penetrate meaning, ano na siya? It's under ionizing ionizing radiation na siya. So, ito, kasi pag sinabing ionizing, ayan, pwede na siyang ma-absorb or mag-pass through. Saan ba siya na-absorb? So, the X-rays are absorbed in bones and teeth. Kaya po, kapag magpapa-X-ray po tayo, nagwo-white, ano ma'am? Yes. Nagwo-white yung mga features na yan. Pati mga metals na hindi siya pwede. Okay. So, the light part of an X-ray image indicates a place where the X-ray was absorbed. Ayan. Kung na-try nyo na, yun. Then, eto ma'am kasi may dito na too much exposure can cause cancer. Parang kanina kasi it's a radiation. So, kailangan nung mga nagtatrabaho sa mga high dose of X-ray is nagsusuot sila ng lead vest. Ayan, para ma-protect sila dun sa exposure sa radiation na ito sa X-ray. Kasi po, when passing through living tissue, X-ray can cause harmful biological changes in genes, chromosomes, and other cell components. Ayan. So, ito ay na-discover noon ni Wilhelm Röntgen. Ayan. So, dramatically dinemonstrate niya ang kanyang X-ray by producing a photographic image of the bones of the human hand. Okay, so doon unang, yan, sikat na sikat noon kasi breakthrough talaga yan noon. And then, engineers, ginagamit din po ito ng mga engineers to find tiny cracks in structures. So, paano? The rays pass through the cracks and the cracks appear dark on film. Ayun, yun. Okay, and, yes. And then, the rightmost part of the spectrum is the gamma ray. So, shorter wavelength, or ito yung shortest na to, shortest wavelength, and the highest frequency. Pero compared sa X-ray kanina, shorter siya, syempre. So, carry the greatest amount of energy and penetrate the most. Ito yung talagang nagpa-pass through na yan. Kaya, it is used in radiation treatment to kill cancer cells. Oo, yung mga, ito yung tinatawag nilang radiotherapy. Dun sa mga may tumor, ito yung pamatay nila ng mga fast-growing cells. Yan. Then, it can be very harmful if not used correctly. Kasi nga, ionizing na siya. It can alter the genetic material or the DNA of the organism. Okay. So, gamma rays are produced in the disintegration of radioactive atomic nuclei and in the decay of certain subatomic particles. Ayan, eto nga si The Incredible Hulk, isa siyang biktima ng gamma radiation. Ayan, kasi, yun nga sabi natin kanina, it can alter the genetic material of an organism. So kay Hulk, imbes na matreat, kasi may ginagamot siyang sakit na rare, di ba? Ayan. Pero eto fictional na to kasi. Fictional na to, pero hindi to mangyayari sa totoong buhay. Ayan. Pero ganon, ibig sabihin gusto na napakita na may epekto yung gamma ray.
Malaki yung epekto.
Oo, malaki ang epekto ng gamma ray. Ayan. Gamma ray photons, like X-ray counterparts, are a form of ionizing radiation. When they pass through matter, they usually deposit their energy. So, pag binaanan nila yung matter, halimbawa yung katawan mo, yung energy nila is ide-deposit doon sa katawan mo by liberating electrons from atoms and molecules. So, doon na. Kaya, pwede siyang tumagal sa katawan mo hanggang ilang decades, hanggang lifetime actually. Ayun. So, exploding nuclear weapons emit gamma rays. Ayan. Yung nuclear weapon. Nuclear bomb. Yan. Actually, yung mga nasabugan na sa area na may sumabog na nuclear bomb noon is hanggang ngayon, meron pa rin yung radiation sa kanilang katawan. Ayan. And, so we have the generalization, Ma'am Mirna.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Ronnie and Ma'am Jen for very wide, and comprehensive discussion of the different forms of electromagnetic waves. Okay, may we ask Cyril from 10SPJ to give us the summary of what have been discussed. Cyril?
Hello po. Hello po.
Yes, anak. Go.
Ayan, for today's discussion, we've learned to compare the relative wavelengths of the different forms of electromagnetic waves, compare the relative frequencies of different forms of electromagnetic waves, and we also identify the relationship among wavelength, frequency, and energy of an electromagnetic wave. Yan po.
Okay, thank you, Cyril. Yes, so as I have said a while back, ito yung tatandaan lagi, the higher the frequency, the higher the energy. Okay, so directly proportional yan, The longer the wavelength, the lower the frequency, and that's inverse relationship. Okay, so yun lagi nyo tatandaan yan mga anak. Okay, thank you, Cyril. Very good. Okay, and to give us reflection of what have been discussed from this discussion, may we ask Kat Bayodok, anak?
Hello po.
Yes, anak, go.
I've learned that radio waves, infrared rays, visible light, ultraviolet rays, X-rays, and gamma rays are all types of electromagnetic radiation. Radio waves have the longest wavelength and gamma rays have the shortest wavelength. In order from highest to lowest energy, the sections of EM spectrum are named gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet radiation, visible light, infrared radiation, and radio waves.
Okay, thank you, Kat. Maybe also hear from Camille.
We've also learned electromagnetic waves are formed when an electric field comes in contact with a magnetic field. They are hence known as electromagnetic waves. The electric field and magnetic field of an electromagnetic wave are perpendicular at right angles to each other. They are also perpendicular to the different direction of the EM wave.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So from that, napakagaling ng ating mga learners. I hope yung mga participants din natin via Facebook and of course via our radio station ay marami ding natutunan sa ating discussion today. So once again, thank you very much, my dear learners. Okay, Cyril, Camille, and Kat. And of course, Sir Ronnie, Ma'am Riza, and Ma'am Jen. Thank you so much po.
Yes, so that's it. Our RBI and live discussion, our scientific time for week 1, Science 10. Okay, see you again next week for another episode of Science-Terrific Time. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you. Keep safe.
Physics, Chemistry, Earth Science, Biology, Biochemistry, Environmental Science. These are some branches of science. Science is about a whole lot more than that. And to sum it up, we believe that science is the way of helping the brain grow in finding new knowledge and help us to feed our curiosity and how the world develops and works today. Science. This is your class, and this is Science. And now, here is your host for the day. Ito ang 106.3 Dance Radio. Dance Radio.
Prepare yourself.
Ang silid-aralan sa radyo, hatid namin ay makabagong paraan ng pagtuturo at kalaman. Mapaumaga, tanghali o hapon man yan, ang istasyong magbibigay impormasyon kahit saan man.
Alright, here we go.
106.3 Dance Radio. Doña Aurora National High School, Santa Rita, Aurora, Isabela.
This
106.3 DWBR FM.